Hello and welcome to Forgotten Frights. I am Josh. Adam is absent today because I am reintroducing this older episode from a previous podcast. Now, this episode comes from a podcast called The Vintage Talk Bag I used to host. I think it's a pretty good discussion here. The only thing you need to know that's different from our current format of Forgotten Frights is that we use a 5-star rating system toward the tail end of the podcast, in which we review the film with writing, acting, sight, sound, and recommend. So I hope you enjoyed this re-released episode of Forgotten Frights. Hello and welcome to Forgotten Frights. I am Josh and I'm sitting here with Adam. And today on the podcast we are reviewing the 1963 horror film Black Sabbath, starring Boris Karloff, Mark Damon, Michele Mercier, and directed by Mario Bava. Here is the trailer.
Do you believe in ghosts?
This is the night when fear and horror walk hand in hand.
This is Black Sabbath.
Starring the incomparable Boris Karloff, the personable Mark Damon, and lush and lovely women, even though one is from the netherworld, a vampire, a Burdelac. Black Sabbath, as ancient as superstition, as modern as the telephone.
How nice you look with that towel around you. You always did have a beautiful body. Beautiful. A body to drive someone crazy.
Who are you? Who?
Black Sabbath, the bare truth about the unbelievable, such as the brilliant beauty of a priceless jewel that holds within the body of a buzzing fly a vengeful woman's murderous spirit. Only on the 7th night of the 7th full moon can the living see the lifeless undead.
I am hungry.
Is he man or vampire? An adventure into black magic that goes beyond the boundaries of the supernatural. And a man's devoted love is welcomed by a woman's deadly lust for his blood.
I'm your host, Josh. I'm sitting here today with my brother, Adam.
Hey, Josh.
Hi. You pitched the idea to do a horror anthology. So I've never seen this film. I've heard all about the Black Sabbath story, the band, them coming across this title, but I'd never actually seen it. You had pitched it to me and said it was one of your favorite anthologies.
Yes.
Being someone, I wouldn't say you're, or maybe an anthology aficionado?
I don't know if I'm an aficionado, but I do enjoy them. Yes.
Okay.
I like the setup where it's short stories. It's very EC Comics. It's very Vault of Horror, Tales from the Crypt. Yeah.
Yeah. No, and as I was kind of thinking about it today, and then we discussed it a little bit as soon as I got here, was I think as we were growing up, we really enjoyed like the Twilight Zone. Mm-hmm. I think our mom has had a big impact on that. I think she liked like short stories in general.
Yep.
She's the one who got me reading Lovecraft and Bradbury, and Kolchak the Night Stalker got me watching that, and of course the Twilight Zone, Outer Limits. We talked about Night Gallery,
Amazing Stories.
Yep. Alfred Hitchcock Presents.
Yep.
That sort of thing. So I think this is like it's about time, I think, for me to sit down and watch this movie, which I did.
Yep.
And we'll get into in the third part of the podcast, kind of talking about how whether we enjoyed the film, whether we like it. I think we can get into more of those aspects later on. But for to kind of kick it off and start it, I thought maybe you could give the synopsis for the film for the first segment of the podcast, and we can kind of talk it out, and then we'll just move on from there.
I've noticed online that there's different setups as far as the movie and the stories are concerned. But the three stories are the telephone, the Wanderlock.
Yep. Or Vonderlock, I'm not sure.
Vonderlock, and then the drop of water.
Yep.
And the telephone is a pretty basic story. I feel like that's it's almost like a precursor to every babysitter,
right,
by herself type of story where the phone rings and spooky things happen from there.
right.
And that story is, it's pretty basic. I still think it has some merit, but it's probably the weakest of the three stories.
Okay, yeah.
And then the Wanderlock.
Vonderlock. Well, we can talk about the if you'd like to let's talk about the telephone for a second.
Sure.
Because in the edition I watched, it started with a drop of water.
Yes.
And then it moved to the telephone, and then it moved to the Vonderlock. The from what I was able to research, the U.S. edition had to take away a lot from because it's a foreign film, and I forget was it Italian?
Yeah, Mario Bava.
Okay,
yeah.
So and in that one they were able to, or for that market, they're able to, I guess at the time they were able to tackle more transgressive issues.
Yes, for sure.
The telephone, I think, had things they omitted in the U.S. version that related to prostitution and like a lesbian love affair.
Yep.
That did not appear in the version I watched. And in fact, the version I watched, so it started with that drop of water, moved on to the telephone and the Vonderlock, or Wanderlock, however that is pronounced. But so starting with the telephone, I think it's fair to start with the version you watched because you're the one who had pitched the show. I mean, more or less the setting of the story is there's a woman,
yes,
who had a love affair with a guy named Frank.
Yes.
And she goes on to she starts getting phone calls, right?
Yep.
From somebody who claims to be Frank.
Yes. And the guy is upset with her.
Right.
And he keeps...
Do we know why he's upset with her?
Nope.
No?
Just, he's very breathy.
Okay, yes, yeah.
And he just keeps talking about how he plans on getting revenge on her. And
yeah. Which it also led to one of the many favorite moments of the film. Oh, and we also have to go back to one other thing that I wanted to address with just the beginning of the film. But there's a scene in the telephone where he calls her and he goes, "Oh, you have such a nice supple body,
yes,
and all I want to see is it naked." And then he's like, "And I'm gonna do terrible things, but before then." I just want to see you take the dress off. So
yes.
he's already kind of he's plotting.
Yeah.
So it's just it's a very weird
he's got everything planned out.
Yeah, but he's like, oh, and it's gonna get bad. But before it gets bad, it's he kind of does it on the phone too, which is funny.
Yes.
The one thing I wanted to get back to is that the movie opens with Boris Karloff's face.
Yep.
And he gives you a very stereotypical introduction. It's kind of an Alfred Hitchcock. Yes, you're going to be terrified. That sort of thing.
And he's very much not dressed spookily.
No, he's just dressed.
He's very well dressed, like he's at a dinner party.
Give me 1 second because I'm going to try to look up the intro because I think it's.
No, he's dressed like he's going to a dinner party, and he's just like, "Are you ready for spooks?
Yes.
Because I have spooks. I have a whole grab bag of spooks.
Are you ready to be terrified? Are you? I'm asking. It's a genuine. And then he stands there in a way. So it's like, oh, you're like, what is this? The one thing I found with Boris Karloff in this film was he's not quite addlepated, but he's old.
Yes.
And he's just like, here are a bunch of tricks.
Right.
Maybe. I don't know.
Yes. He's from a different time.
He is. Let me see. Okay, so this is the intro. Let me get. We've got to be careful. We got to tiptoe around copyright. Let me see. All right, it's almost there. The telephone is also. It stars Michele Mercier, I believe. The thing with this movie and being from the 60s, I don't know a lot of the actors or actresses.
No, me neither.
and we'll get into it with like the acting category toward the end of the podcast. But so this one has, let me see, it's Michele Mercier, Lydia Alfonso, Lydia Alfonsi, and let me see, and then Milo Casada, it looks like, who plays Frank.
Sounds very Italian.
Okay, here is Boris Karloff.
Ladies and gentlemen, how do you do? This is Black
And it's his
Sabbath.
face. This is Black
You
Sabbath.
are about to see three tales of terror and the supernatural.
He's just kind of telling.
Yep.
He's just telling us what
Very
we're
by
about
the
to see.
book. Yep.
It's black. It's cool. The visuals in this movie are very interesting, and it keeps like it's like changing color over his face, which is neat.
Yep.
But yeah, it's just they got Boris Karloff in a dark room, and they were just like, all right, now say some creepy things. He's like, did you write anything? And they're like, well, yeah. It just kind of use these as like. This is like a guiding principle,
Yes,
you know?
yes.
And he's like, all right, here we go.
Yes.
Welcome. It's creepy. This first one is called, depending on which market it's released, either Drop of Water or The Telephone.
Yes. Yes.
So getting back to The Telephone, that's just how the movie opens, and then it gets to the first segment. So for your edition, the Italian edition, it would be the Telephone. Michele Mercier, who plays Rosie, is getting phone calls from Frank, played by Milo Casada. And he's being very liberal in how he's talking about what he's going to do to her,
Yep.
and how she's going to pay for prior transgressions.
Yes.
So then it moves on from there, and she phones a friend.
Yep. And the friend comes over.
Yep, because and the friend. So interestingly enough, the friend comes over to console her, right?
Yep.
And kind of it's like, oh, you're seeing things. Frank is dead.
Yes.
Is what they keep saying. So
Yep.
there's no way you can be talking to Frank.
Right.
She then puts laudanum or something in a drink.
Yep.
To knock her out.
Yep.
It is then, I guess, in the Italian edition, because I don't remember it being in the whether that's the American or the European release. Well, I guess it'd be the American release. She reveals she was being Frank. She was calling Rosie, pretending to be Frank, to force a reunion of sorts.
Yes.
Which I didn't really get from the movie. I was still thinking about Boris Karloff, so it was hard to get into the story. 'Cause I'm like, what the hell was he doing? And then what happens?
Basically, she leaves.
No, Frank shows up, right? Does she leave? Like immediately?
No.
I know she starts writing how she was the one who was doing it.
Yes. Okay.
And then it turns out Frank is alive, right?
Yes.
And then he strangles her.
Right.
But okay, so I don't like. So tell me what you remember exactly. I mean, is it?
I remember he comes in.
Yeah.
And he strangles her. But it's not really Frank, is it?
No, I think it is. But see, and here's the difficulty in watching the two different versions. Is in like the American version, there's like ghost writing on a paper that's not in the Italian version. So like Rosie will pick up a document, or there's a couple scenes where she picks up this note and a ghost hand writes a thing while she's looking at it, which is weird because there's no reaction from the actress.
Right.
Because they did it in post.
Yes.
And so then she's like, oh, ghost writing.
Right.
And so there's nothing like to reveal that. In the version I had, he comes and he strangles Mary, played by Lydia Alfonso. And then, but Mary had given her a knife.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
To protect yourself with for some reason. I'm not entirely sure why. Because
Yes.
she admits to being Frank.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, I haven't seen this movie in a long time.
But there are problems, but there are still like some cool visuals in there. I actually thought the ghostwriting thing was kind of neat.
Yes.
The problem with that is that the actress doesn't respond to it.
Right.
But it's neat to see that kind of like special effect or whatever taking place. I think that's like it. They were like, we're going to do this, and that's how we're going to do it. Where you see so many movies where they go in post to do something, and they don't even go to lengths like that.
Yes.
They don't go, we're going to try to generate ghostwriting on a script.
Yep. A lot of this movie for me is just it's the atmospheric the
absolutely.
feeling. It's definitely, especially, not to jump ahead, but the Wanderlock.
Yeah.
That particular story is very it's creepy.
It is.
Like that whole, like the way he looks, the way that Boris Karloff looks in that story it's very ethereal.
And you said the telephone for you was the weakest one, right?
I believe so, yes.
Because it was the weakest one for me.
Yes.
Because pretty much Mary gives Rosie a knife for some reason. And then Frank shows up, kills Mary, and then Rosie is waking up from her laudanum stupor or whatever it was that Mary had given her. And Frank is approaching her and goes to strangle her or kill her, and Rosie just stabs him in the stomach. Like, there's no real suspense out of that.
Yes.
And he falls over and dies, and then she, loses her mind and freaks out because she sees that Mary is dead.
Right.
Now, it would make more sense because the Italian version seems to indicate that there's a kind of a lesbian affair going on between the two.
Yeah, and I don't know if that's completely, that it wasn't spelled out the way that you think it would be. Yeah.
I had read that and I'm like, okay, that would make more sense because then she sees that Mary's dead. Rosie sees that Mary's dead and freaks out. And it's like, oh, my lover is dead.
Right.
So that's at least something. In the American version, that didn't happen.
Yes.
And then that's the end of that first segment.
Yeah, and the thing about it is, as far as being an anthology aficionado, I've seen so many anthology movies that I thought that particular segment was in a different movie.
Oh, because
it is so forgettable. I like The Drop of Water and I like The Wanderlock a lot.
Yeah.
But that one,
that's one I had to go and read about because I'm like, I don't even.
Yes.
Also, I should say another great Boris Karloff makes his movie for me because he's almost befuddling because the intro so the movie starts with Boris Karloff being like, well, get ready for a spooky time.
Right.
And then when the telephone segment plays, there's an introduction by Boris Karloff for the telephone.
Yes.
And he's kind of standing there talking, and then he's standing next to a giant telephone, and or you suddenly realize he is, and a hand comes down and picks up the phone.
Right.
And tiny Boris Karloff is like, whoa! And then it goes up, and it's giant Boris Karloff.
Right.
What we assume is the actual size Boris Karloff. It has the phone, and he's like, more how much do you know about your own telephone? It's like, okay, I don't know. Maybe I don't know much, but thanks, man. So that segment ends with Michele Mercier as Rosie losing her mind.
Yes.
And so then it moves on to, I guess in the Italian version, would that be The Drop of Water?
Yes.
Okay. So the American version started with The Drop of Water, which was, for laying the groundwork of atmosphere, I will give props to rearranging those stories because The Drop of Water is insanely atmospheric and creepy.
Now, what did you think about that story?
I thought it was good. Do you remember that one quite well?
That one I'm a little sketchy on too.
There's it's not all these stories are not they're not the best. One nice part about it is that they're not too complex.
No.
So with The Drop of Water, I enjoyed it. It starts with just crazy colors in the way that the film starts. Boris Karloff's face is being highlighted in. I don't know if he'd be, what is it, ochre or ochre?
Ochre.
Yep. Is that earthen tones?
A yellow almost.
Okay,
yep.
So there's yellows and greens, that sort of thing. So it's it's setting kind of a tone, which the movie does great on. It's setting up atmosphere.
Yep.
And that's how A Drop of Water starts, just showing this old decrepit house that this lady lives in.
Yes.
And let me get the names of them on there. Okay, so we've got Jacqueline Perot, who plays Helen Chester, and she is. This says she's called one evening by Millie Mott, who plays a maid, to an old lady's house. The old lady dabbled in the supernatural.
Yep.
I think Helen Chester as Jacqueline, or Jacqueline Perot as Helen Chester, must have been caring for this old dark arts lady. Goes to her house and sees that she's died.
Yes.
Now, the really interesting and neat thing about that is that the way they staged the dark arts corpse, that lady, and her weird, messed up face.
Oh, for sure,
right?
Yeah, horrifying.
Yeah, I mean, can you describe the face for me?
It's way scarier than the end of Psycho, and I thought that was pretty scary.
Right, yeah.
Norman Bates' mom,
who's in the rocking chair.
It's very, especially for the time, it was very Yeah, it's abrupt and it's unexpected.
Yeah, because it's like a mask.
Yep.
Kind of pulled over, like it's a mask because at one point she sits up.
Yes.
Which is it was like completely unsettling.
Yep.
But it's like this it's almost disfigured, but
Yep.
you can tell it's a face.
Yes.
And it kind of has like this cryptic smile. I don't even know. It's like this very like
yes.
What would be like Mary Shelley and like Gothic novels refer to it as their like their countenance, their like the expression of their face and like what it what it's trying to project more or less.
Yep.
She sees that, but then she sees, of course, in all good horror movies, you see this, like, oh yes, this lady dabbled in the dark arts. Oh, also, her corpse looks horrific.
Yeah.
We have to, you have to make sure she's dead. Yeah. And she's over there and she's like, oh, but that ring looks pretty nice. And it's like,
yoink.
Yeah. And so she steals it.
Yep.
She steals this ring. Yep. And it's like, I don't know if you heard what I said. She practiced black magic.
I started with black, the dark arts. Come on.
I was going to tell you that she will haunt you if you do anything wrong. Which she steals a ring and then goes back to her house, more or less, and kind of.
And if you heard the overlord Boris Karloff talking about this before we started the story, then you would know.
Do you remember? I don't. That's the intro. I don't remember, but he was probably like, "Hey, have you ever been in a room with a creepy dark arts lady who died?"
Yep. Don't steal her ring. Right.
It's totally It's It's like that should be. Self-explanatory.
Yep.
That should be something you should think of.
Yep. For sure.
So she heads back to her house, and of course, dead dark arts lady starts haunting the crap out of her.
Yep.
She's, messing with her, and it's. I'm trying to think. Like, do you recall any of your favorite visuals from that scene? Because there's lots of neat little like weird things happening.
No, I don't.
There's just before she gets to the body, there's weird stuff. I'm trying to remember. There's I know there's a lot of like color happening, and hell, I can't even remember any like my favorite little. There's just like she comes around a corner at one point, and the dark arts lady who's dead, she's sitting in a rocking chair.
Yes.
And this horrifying mask is on there. If you get a chance, if you're listening, just go look for that segment and find that lady just to see the mask thing that they put together. It still looks amazing today. And this was in the 1963.
Yep.
It looks really good.
Yep.
So you just get all these visuals, and then eventually the rocking chair dark arts lady rises from the bed, and it shows the full thing, almost like it reminded me of did you watch the Nosferatu?
Yeah.
Where he rises from the coffin. I think it's a fairly famous image. It was very reminiscent of that, where the face is just kind of staring at her, and then just rises, the whole body rises from the bed.
Yes.
Into kind of a sitting position, and then stands up, and it's very like, I think they knew exactly what they were doing and how like creepy that would be.
Yeah. This movie for me, what I my anthology aficionado cred is ruined for sure. But I will say that this movie, I probably watched it a year ago.
Yeah.
And I will say that it leaves you with a feeling. It's a good movie to watch on during a thunderstorm at night. It's very much, it's that, I don't want to say campy, but it's definitely got that. It's very much a 1960s old school creep show type movie. It gives you a feeling. It's the aesthetics are very good as far as the old style horror that it conveys.
Yeah, because I think with and like aesthetically speaking, the color palette is very it's very of its time.
Yep.
But I think it's very effective.
Yeah.
And I think there's a reason why a lot of movies used it.
Yes.
And those particular tones and hues.
Yep.
Like we were talking about, like the ochre or whatever, the ochre, the yellows, greens, that sort of thing. Just the brown. It looks like fall colors.
Yes.
And so it's like you're saying, it's like a good film to watch like on a spooky evening.
For sure. Yeah.
And Boris Karloff would agree, because I think that's how he concludes that.
Absolutely.
Segment. He's like, spooked out yet?
Yes. Yeah.
That one ends with Helen Chester is dead. She strangles herself, and then there's like some investigators, and they're like, "Yep." That's pretty much
like dripping water at the end. Right?
Yes. Yep. Yes. Because the intro to that one to Boris Karloff is just like, "How much do you know about drops of water?"
Right.
And you're like, what? And then the
where are you going, Boris?
Yeah. And then he's rummaging through a refrigerator, and you're like, what is happening? That segment ends, and then we move on to the next one, the Wanderlock, or the Wanderlock. as Boris Karloff tells us, is a vampire story, and he just spells it out for us before the story even gets going.
Spoiler alerts.
We have pretty much a nobleman, Vladimir Durf, who's played by Mark Damon, shows up at this house. It's like a family, and their father or grandfather,
I think it's the father.
The father has left already to go kill this thing, the Vonderlock, which is terrorizing their family.
Yes,
and he's like, "Okay, can I stay here tonight?" And then he returns, and my favorite, played by Boris Karloff.
Yes,
he shows up and is just like, he's not quite chewing the scenery, but he's like, I don't even know. I can't begin to describe his acting capabilities. I both enjoyed them, and I was like, all of my senses were like I guess like I was insulted by.
He was so over the top.
Oh yeah.
But I will say that when he comes back to the house, he is creepy as shit.
He is. Yeah, his face is kind of messed up.
Yeah.
And and I love that they're like, his family is not good at like critically analyzing anything.
No, not at all.
Because they're just like, "Oh, you fought the Wanderlock," and he's like, "Yeah." They're like, "What's up with that?" Yeah. And they're like, "What's up with the bite mark on your neck?" "Oh, during battle." And they're like, "Oh, you're bleeding from the heart." He's like, "It's the Wanderlock's blood." Like, this is very like,
yes.
that dude's a Wanderlock. Oh, and then he says this thing. He gets in the house, and there's a woman there. This is Senka, Susy Andersen, and then Pietro or Peter Petro, played by Massimo Rihi, or something to that effect.
The Massimo Rihi.
Yeah. And Boris Karloff sees him. Giorgio. No, his name is not Giorgio. He has a very... It's Gorka.
Yeah, Gorka.
Yeah, Gorka.
For sure, yeah.
I was like,
knew
wait
his
a minute.
name was something just completely
Gorka!
very vampire.
He sees the kid, and he's just like... the mother of the child is like, "No, you can't come close." And he's like, "What's wrong? A grandpa can't fondle his grandson?"
Yes, fondle.
Yeah,
yes.
and then she, I swear to God, she looks at the camera and she looks at the director like, "Can you? It's 1963. Can you say that?" And Boris Karloff's just like, "I'm drunk anyway. Who cares?"
Fondling time. Yeah.
And then they pretty much move on to where Gorka does just kidnap the kid.
Yep.
Because it turns out, it's like, exactly.
Big swerve. He's a vampire.
And he steals the kid and disappears. One of the individuals, and I don't know if it's Giorgio. I think it's Giorgio. Chases after them, and he returns with the corpse of the son.
Yes.
Which he then decides, okay, Gorka was a vampire. I should have known. Newsflash.
Yeah,
Gorka did it.
Yeah.
And this kid is a vampire and is like, "I'm going to stake the kid in the heart with this silver dagger," or whatever.
Yep.
The mom, which I actually like the part where the mom is like, "No, you can't do it. I'll kill myself." It's very like Shakespearean.
Yep.
Because then it gives you the stakes, and he's like, "Okay, then we'll just have to bury the kid." As you said, newsflash, the kid comes back because he's a vampire. And he's like, "Mama, I'm hungry." And he's standing outside, and she's, of course, like, "I have to take care of my kid." They get into kind of a tussle in downstairs. She stabs, the mother stabs the father in the stomach to get at the kid, opens the door, and who's standing there but Gorka?
Yep.
Boris Karloff's like, "Hey, fondling time is over. Now feeding time has commenced."
Yes.
Yeah. Which he does.
Yep.
And then we get back to Vladimir Durf, played by Mark Damon, and there's a woman he's with. Let me see. Oh, maybe that's who Senka is, and the wife is Rika Dialina. Either way,
sounds right.
So Senka, so Vladimir and Senka go off. They go to like leave because they're like, "This is all messed up."
Yeah.
They go to a ruined castle. Like, let's spend the night. Some of the narrative stuff isn't quite there in the 63,
right?
But it's also very like, that's very like Edgar Allan Poe-ish. Where it's just like, here's this house usher that looks terrifying. I'm gonna stay there. Oh, incest? Nah, I need to go to bed. That's fine.
Yeah.
They more or less it ends with them both being turned into vampires. Right?
Yes.
And then the film ends with Boris Karloff. He's like, I was Gorka. Did you like that? Did you like that segment? How'd you think I did?
Yeah.
Just a full bottle of bourbon in. He's just
Yes.
the movie concludes, and that's Black Sabbath as a whole. I
Yep.
think that's
pretty much.
I mean, anything to add about the not on the narrative aspects necessarily, but anything missing? Do we miss anything?
No, I appreciate that you watched the movie recently.
Well, I just watched it yesterday.
Yeah.
On the top of 2 other movies. So I'm like, and this one was like on the bottom of the stack. So
Yes.
I'm like, okay, I'm going to get through this. Sometimes a movie from the 60s can be a slog because it doesn't. And that's me as a viewer just being, I think, because modern films are so quickly cut.
Sure.
And they're not always, they don't hang on narrative as long as some of those.
They're paced a little quicker.
Yeah. So so that is that was Black Sabbath pretty much.
Yes.
We're just coming up next to a break. We're gonna when we come back, we're going to we have a spooktacular game to play.
Oh.
And then we will wrap up the podcast by kind of giving our assessment overall of the film.
Wind's really howling outside.
Yes, it's probably raining, and there's probably sleet too, because that's how October normally goes.
Yep.
I mean, it is definitely because it's totally October.
Oh yeah, especially here in Transylvania.
Yeah, that's this is like our Halloween party. So I'm dressed like a dollar store Frankenstein in honor of Boris Karloff for the evening.
Yeah. I'm dressed like a giant telephone.
A Vonderlock. We have a Vonderlock guest or a Wanderlock guest. So let me see. So I have a trivia game. Let me see. Yeah, so I have a trivia game to play real quick. That's horror movie inspired for our Halloween day. Ooh. Oh. No, the ghosts. They're everywhere.
They're creepy.
You have 3 questions, and or no, you have more than 3 questions. Looks like I put 1, 2, 3, 4. So you have 5 questions, and I'll give you a hint for each one if you need it.
Okay.
So you have 1 hint for each question, 5 questions.
Okay.
So for the first question, hi. Also, my name is Joshua Hauntington, and I'm sitting here with my brother Adam.
Boo!
We're gonna do this trivia game. The first question is, Adam, for how many frogs were purchased for the film The Frogs?
The Frogs with Sam Elliott?
Yes.
Purchased.
Mm-hmm. How many frogs did they purchase for use in that film?
Well, this is long before CG. So,
yep.
There were a lot of frogs in that movie.
There were, the most frogs.
I guess I'll take a hint.
More than 1.
That is a shitty hint.
All right, somewhere between 250 and 1,000.
All right.
Now, and for extra points, how many toads were purchased?
Well, I had the toads number wrapped up. It was the frogs I was unclear on. I will say, I'm going to say 800 frogs.
Okay.
And I guess I'll throw in another 800 toads.
No. 500 frogs and 100 toads.
That seems pretty conservative. Actually.
It's actually like, we just need 500 frogs for the movie The Frogs. I just figured they just used plastic frogs. I mean, that's cool. They went, you know, it's like, isn't there a story or something about how many insects were purchased for the Temple of Doom? Wasn't it like, it was just like a ton?
Oh, I'm sure. I watched the movie
Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. In case anybody out there has never seen that movie,
I think the movie Kingdom of the Spiders with William Shatner.
Never seen it.
It's uncomfortable to watch because I believe it's before PETA was involved with a lot of these things, and I think there's parts of the movie where they get in a car and there's just tarantulas everywhere.
Oh God!
And it doesn't linger on any scenes, but they must have run over a lot of spiders.
I have what would I call it? It's like reoccurring arachnophobia. So occasionally I'm terrified of spiders. I had it really bad when I lived up north in northern Michigan. I just went through like a year where like spiders, I'd wake up my young nephew to go kill spiders if I saw one in the evening, because it was just, I couldn't deal with it, and I don't know what the deal was. Get up this morning, and my wife steers me into the kitchen to be like, you want to see something crazy? I'm like, yeah. So I walk through the doorway and get to the back of the kitchen, and then she turns me around to show me that above the door is the biggest spider I've ever seen in my entire life. So now there isn't even a means of egress. I can't even get out of the kitchen.
So that occasional arachnophobia
kicked in, yeah. And then we used like a Swiffer mop thing to like get it, I was standing behind my wife pushing her forward as she was trying to stab at the spider. So cowardice. Well, maybe cowardice just runs in our family. I don't know.
It does.
Question 2, Adam, for this Halloween edition of Movie Trivia on the Vintage Talk Bag. Ooh, it's a Halloween episode, guys.
Bark. It's wild dogs.
Oh yeah, well that's okay. So I feel like I'm in Dracula. Oh
yes. The children of the night.
Can you guess what this sound is?
Snakes?
No, so like the swamp gas they see out in Dracula.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I guess so.
Yep.
With the dogs. 3, 2, 1, go.
Bark.
Oh, that's
bark.
That's so scary.
It really is.
I'm terrified. So, question 2. What was the planned title for the movie The Blob before it was changed? I should also say, full disclosure here, the plan was to have a second guest on tonight, which didn't happen. I'm more than happy with, I guess, the having you on as a guest. I think it's already been fun to just talk about Boris Karloff. So these were actually supposed to be more of an approximation to see who gets closer. So you actually have so that would make sense with the 500 frogs.
Yes.
You just had to guess a number.
Sure.
This is completely unfair.
With the Blob, the original title.
Yeah.
I hope it was The Stuff.
That is incorrect. It was called The Glob.
No.
Yeah. Isn't that kind of terrible?
That was the writing room. That was just like,
should
we go glob or blob?
Yeah. Should we do
flob?
Should we do flob? Let me see. Should I try to call Jake and see if he wants to try to answer a question?
Sure.
Let me see if I can get Jake on the phone. Jake is also Jake is our brother. He's the youngest. He also likes movies. Let me see if I can get him on the phone. And let me see here. I've also never done this, so let's see if we can get Jake.
The Glob?
Yeah, The Glob.
That's bad.
Yeah, it's not good.
Yeah.
And they changed it because there was like a comic artist or something who had gotten us like, oh, we can't infringe.
Steve McQueen would have never signed on for The Glob. There's no way. Blob? Absolutely.
Let me see. Oh, you know what I could do? It says I have no service, so let me go. This is kind of like the Wanderlock episode. We're just out in Transylvania. There's no service out here.
No.
So that's scary. Oh, my wife just messaged me. Found 2 more spiders.
Uh-oh.
Goo.
Oh, boy.
I'm not going home tonight.
Time for a bomb.
Yeah. What kind of bomb?
A bug bomb.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was thinking the F-bomb.
No.
Oh, okay.
I don't think swearing at the spiders are going to make it stop.
Oh, are you sure?
I'm pretty sure.
All right, well. All right, let me see if this works, because I think I have Wi-Fi here. How about I try to call my wife?
Sure.
Let me see. Hold on.
She's probably shrieking at spiders right now.
I'll probably have to imagine. Let me see. She drops the F-bomb as soon as she answers the phone. Oh, no! Come on.
Hello?
Hey, babe. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing well. You are currently on the Vintage Talk Bag.
Oh, wow.
Are you doing the dishes?
Yes.
Hey, very cool. So we're actually short a guest. It's just Adam and I set up all these trivia questions that we're supposed to take 2 people. So now I need a second person to try to guess some numbers, so it's not completely unfair. He's like 0 and 5 right now.
Oh, wow.
So can you help us out?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, excellent.
Hi, Jenny. I'm very bad at this.
I'm not going to be much better.
All right. Okay, Jenny. So the question is, question 3, how long did it take to shoot the Blair Witch Project?
Ooh.
How many days? So we're going to start. We'll start.
Days?
Yep. So we're going to start with Adam, and then I'll give you a guess, and whoever is closer gets the point.
All right.
All right, Adam, how many days?
I'm going to say 45.
Okay, you also get one guess.
All right. I'm going to guess.
The Blair Witch Project was shot on like a handheld camera.
I remember. Yeah.
Which is the hint? I'll just give it to both of you guys.
There was a witch in it.
And there's a witch.
Before I had kids.
All right, settle down. Before I ruined your life.
I'm gonna say it took 18 days.
Jenny was closest.
Oh, wow.
It was shot in 8 days.
Damn.
Jenny, you get 1 point.
yeah.
Good job. Yay.
I have a point. Yay.
Adam said 45 days.
What an idiot.
Hey, I'm sitting right here.
Okay, so this next question.
Hey, I can hear everything really good through the headphones.
The next question goes to, let me see. We'll start with Jenny.
Okay.
Should Rob Zombie make any more movies? Yes or no? There's one hint with it, too.
What? How is that a... This is...
It sounds like a
Should he?
subjective.
Wait, what?
Yeah. That sounds like... No.
Okay. Adam?
I'm going to say no.
You guys both get a point. Did you want the hint?
Yeah, I'll
Sure.
take the hint.
The hint is no.
That's it.
Okay, last question. The antagonist in the 2009 film House of the Devil is Tom Noonan, and he's played some famous monsters and villains. Can you name 3?
Are you kidding me?
He was,
So we'll start with Adam.
I don't know if I can name 3, but I know he was in Last Action Hero
Okay.
as the Ripper.
Okay.
And I believe he was also, he played, I want to say he played Hannibal Lecter in, oh boy, there was a version of The Silence of the Lamb. I can't remember. It was mid-'80s. Oh boy, I don't remember the name of the movie.
Okay.
But yeah, I think the Ripper from Last Action Hero is all I can think of.
All right, Jenny, thoughts?
Woody from Toy Story and Toy Story 1, Toy Story 2, and Toy Story 3.
Okay.
That was fucking great.
Jenny, you get the point.
Circle gets the square.
Congratulations, you won the spooktacular trivia game on the Vintage Talk Bag. Wait, here's a
Does
gallery.
that mean you're gonna finish the dishes?
Wait, hold on. There's a gallery of ghosts and goblins for you, cheering you on. Ooh, yeah!
Boo! I don't think Adam's an idiot though.
That was a spooky dog. Thank you, Jenny.
You're welcome.
I'll talk to you soon.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
That was fun.
Yeah,
All right, Jenny won. Beat your ass.
she really did.
So that concludes the trivia game. Well played, Adam.
That was fun.
Adam, I want to start with you in writing. How did you think the writing was in 1963's Black Sabbath, starring Boris Karloff?
And the scale is half.
You can give it 0 stars, half star, or a full star.
For this being from the 60s and the type of movie that it is, I would give it, because I enjoy these movies quite a bit, I would give it a half a star.
Okay. Your rationale being that because it was from the 60s and that it was doing more?
Yes, I'm a huge fan, and when I say that, obviously it means I probably have never watched one of them, but no, I actually do like, Vincent Price movies. I like those movies of that ilk, and I like the fact that they're silly. You can, it's not meant to be a terribly suspenseful or scary experience. It's more of the feeling that you get from the movie. So no, I think it hit all the marks as far as that's concerned. So I'm very much okay with a half star.
I have to. I think I have to agree with you because I think silly is a good word because like for how much kind of crap I've given Boris Karloff, I think he was totally like interesting and engaging.
Yep.
Like he was doing the Alfred Hitchcock, Vincent Price. Hello.
Yep.
Spooktacular.
Yep.
He did it well. The like his acting has issues. I think the segments have issues, but it was a fun and engaging watch. I was laying on the floor in my living room. My daughter was jumping all over me, but it was still like I didn't have any of the lights on, so we're kind of just like hanging out, and it was like midday, so it was just kind of like it was when we were talking about atmosphere and just like the feeling this movie gives you, it was perfect. It was just, I was laying there, I had a cup of coffee. It was nice. And it was like, oh, I'm getting into kind of the Halloween spirit while I was watching it.
I think on a night like this, like it is Halloween night, it is a perfect movie to watch. Even as a background movie, it hits all the marks that you would want. I won't talk about the music yet, but just as far as the writing goes, yes. I mean, it hits those marks if you're looking for a movie. And like you just said, it's kid friendly for the most part, except for the fondling.
I think that was disturbing. But.
Yeah, but I mean, there's nothing overly gratuitous, even in the scene or the story about the. The prostitute, the pimp.
Which was omitted in the American version.
Right.
I think it's, and I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but in talking about how because anthologies are something I'm going to show my daughter as she gets older, because I think the Twilight Zone never does anything lewd or lascivious or whatever. It never gets into or just moments of it tells a story. And Black Sabbath tells 3 stories, and they tell them straightforward, and it's like getting urban legends or something.
Yep.
And you're just watching them, and it's entertaining. It's entertaining as heck. Yep. So I would give it also a half star, because it's it's not perfect. I think you could look at movies from the 60s that are very, very good.
Oh, for
but
sure.
I think it's more than serviceable. So I'll give it a half star too. So which brings us to the next star, which is acting. What did you think of the acting in 1963's Black Sabbath? I think just kind of looking at character development, not even character development because it would go into writing, but like how people portray the characters they're supposed to. Did you want me to start with this one?
Yeah, why don't you start with this one?
I would say I thought Boris Karloff. I think if given like enough time to kind of like if he had more opportunities to be this Gorka character or this kind of like Boris Karloff character, I think he would have like fell into it more. I think he's kind of, it comes off very like Hitchcockian, where he's just like at one point he snaps his fingers to disappear, nothing happens, and then he snaps his fingers again and he disappears, and it's like, oh, he's like a quirky weird dude.
Yeah.
But the movie opens and he's like, are you ready to have the shit scared out of you? And it's like, oh, you're not that character. But so he's like finding his way. So I'd give the acting a half star because I think also everybody else in the film, I thought like the telephone is the weakest story, but I think both of between let me see. Michele Mercier and Lydia Alfonsi are. I think they're good in it, and I think they have a full discussion when the character Mary gets to Rosie's apartment and they're discussing Frank. I think that's all it's all very good. I think all of the characters aside from Boris Karloff in the Wanderluck episode or Wanderluck segment are really good. I think I think that the mother of the child who runs outside, it's totally believable that that's what she's doing. I think I get the air and maybe it's just because of these older films, but they're like stage actors
for sure.
These are people who were doing dramas and that sort of thing.
Yes.
So it's all very convincing. So I would so I want to say I'm going to go a half star. I almost want to go a full star, but I think I'm going to go a half star because there's nobody in there that I was like, damn. This is, we were talking earlier, it's not like there's a Gregory Peck or a Robert Mitchum.
Right.
It's not like you're watching somebody really go outside. This isn't John Wayne as Rooster Cogburn.
Right.
This isn't like an older actor or an actor from an older time doing so I'd say a half star.
Yes. For the time, I agree completely. It's, it's hard. It's apples to oranges when you take acting from that that time. And, it's not Daniel Day-Lewis. It's not
right.
It's not method acting.
Can you imagine him in this movie though?
I am Gorka. I would give it a half star as well, and I think like I said, I watch a lot of this stuff, so I'm pretty much used to the acting style.
Yeah.
The stage acting, I totally agree with you. And just as a footnote, if you know anyone with the first or last name of Gorka, stab them deep into the heart now.
I'm going to go ahead and say, if somebody shows up and their face is gray and covered in blood and they have a heart stab wound, run. Yeah. They're a vampire.
And they lead off with fondle.
Yeah, they're like, I want to fondle you kids.
As if they needed any more reason for a good stabbing.
That's hilarious. So you're going to acting. Are you doing...
I'd say a half star.
Half star, okay.
Yeah.
Would you? So the next star would be Sight.
So as far as the visuals in the movie, I thought it was a full star. I thought it really hit all those tones. If you're looking for a movie that has that sensory feeling as far as being spooky, and especially once again. It's a movie from the early 60s.
We're also in October, so you have to be spooky. But
yes. But it's almost like not that Scooby-Doo as a cartoon scared me, but it's sort of hitting those beats of at any moment someone could pull a candelabra and the wall could spin around.
Right.
And there's a stone staircase that goes down to a torture room. Like that, all of those things I feel like are present in this movie. I think it hits the marks. I think I think that's the thing that carried me through this movie more than anything else is the feeling that I got visually.
And I think I have to agree because, like I said, with the way the American version opened, or the American version opened with this kind of creepy little house and a drop of water, and I remember distinctly there's like a signpost, and there's like a green light just flashing on it, and then it goes inside of the apartment of the maid, and there's just or it's inside of the Minister of the Dark Arts Corps, the witch lady, and there's like all of these cool colors happening. I thought the Wanderluck stuff was neat when he at one point Boris Karloff goes, or somebody asked him, they're like, "Did you kill the Wanderluck?" And he's like, "Of course, I have his head right here." And then hilariously he says, "So stick it to the front of the door." Immediately cuts outside, and the head is like across the yard. It's not on the front door at all. But Boris Karloff goes, "Put it on the front door." And then it just cuts to a signpost out by the road, and there's a head hanging from it. Like they were kind of like, "Oh, okay, yeah, we'll do that." And they went outside, and they're like, "This guy's fucking nuts." But still visually, that Wanderluck scene, the whole episode is it's full of mist. It looks like it's very Poe-ish. It's very Vincent, it's a Vincent Price film. It's very neat. It's got also it's very cool. So yeah, I'd have to give I've got to give the visuals 1 star, which brings us to Sight. What did you think of the Sight in 1963's Black Sabbath? Oh, I'm sorry, Sound. Excuse me.
Sound. Again, I think it hit the notes as far as
pun intended.
Yes.
Okay.
No, I think it definitely had the eerie soundtrack that movies of that nature always tend to deliver at this time. And no, as far as sight and sound are concerned, I think they were the strongest parts of this movie for sure.
So 1 star. Do you think the sound is as strong as the sight?
Not at all. Yeah, I would say a half a star.
Okay, because I would agree with that. I don't think where these movies tend to really succeed and where they really excel, I think a lot of these older films are having that Twilight Zone is where you have that you have a creaky staircase or a creaky door, or you have some ambient music that's laying through. There's a Vincent Price version actually of The Fall of the House of Usher where he's just playing a mandolin or he's playing a lute. Vincent Price clearly cannot play the lute, and so he's like, I'm going to pick a few dissonant notes and I'm going to play them, and then he starts just kind of like thumbing through them, and it like really sets up kind of like the tone of a scene.
This is the fall of the House of Usher?
Yeah, with Vincent Price.
Yeah, it's a good movie. Yeah.
But it has like this certain like sound quality to it, where I think like these movies tend to excel in those things. If it's not visually, it's going to attack you in your auditory like senses. So I give it a half star. I think everything, there's nothing in there that I'm like, well, that's ridiculous, or like, you know, there's no like whatever sound or music was in there, I think like fit adequately. So I'd give it a half star. But there's nothing that really excels either. So there's nothing like, I mean, there are movies like I said, like the Fall of the House of Usher with Vincent Price. There are the scenes in there where it's just totally defined by the sounds that are happening and the music and that sort of thing.
No, but I will also say, you know, and you know, we've touched on it briefly with Karloff doing the introductions to each story.
Right.
The spooky music playing over every introduction also lends to what the movie is ultimately. Right. It is a spooky anthology.
Yep.
This is seriously, I feel like this is a movie where you could just get a group of friends together, have some popcorn.
Yeah.
And it as long as everybody understands what they're getting into.
Absolutely.
That's what it is. It's pretty straightforward.
When you like you play like movies on your projector on like your shed.
Yeah.
This is something like if I was a kid and I was trick or treating and I was walking up to somebody's house and I saw this movie just projected on a wall, it would be like a perfect film for
Absolutely.
Because it's just like the way it's shot, it's dark.
Yeah.
It's like so all that stuff is cool. This brings us to though our last star, and I think I know your answer already, but recommend. Do you recommend this film?
Yes. However, with the caveat, if you are expecting a car crash, hailstorm of action, and you know, just it's not that. It's very much it's three. I think I'll take from what you said. They're three urban legend type stories, and they're just they're very straightforward.
Yeah.
I would give that. Probably, I would is that a star rating?
Yeah, so it'd be 0, half, or full.
I would give a half because I think some people will probably not dig on this the way that I did. I mean, and maybe it's just for its time, and maybe you have to be a certain age to really appreciate a movie.
That's that's true. And I think it's the recommended. I think is always the hardest star because you're like, well, I can't recommend it to everybody. But
extremely subjective.
I would say, and I think each one is extremely subjective. So I mean, I think there's the inherent in the system, but I think when you're looking at it, because I would give it a half star. Mostly because it's an older film from the 60s. I can't just go and recommend that to every friend.
Absolutely not.
There are some films I would give just a full-on, like, just go watch this movie.
Yep.
This isn't one of them, but that's not to say I did not enjoy it. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and it's a film that I'll watch again. Like, it's going to be very October for me.
Sure.
Like, year to year, as I get older, I will continue watching this film every year.
Yep.
Because I'll throw it in there with any other, when I watch The Raven with Vincent Price. It'll be on there.
Yes.
It fits in perfectly. So, we both give it a half star there. Surprisingly or somewhat unsurprisingly, we both gave the film 3 stars, which I think is totally adequate. I think this is a film that's not like, we're not looking for this great epic thing that's going to just attract everybody's attention, but I think it's a more than serviceable film, especially with what it's doing. It can be silly. It can be totally ridiculous. Boris Karloff is completely ridiculous. But yeah, totally engaging, strange film.
But I'll say that the fact that Karloff is ridiculous lends to the charm of this movie.
Absolutely. Yeah. Because there's such a weird kind of like contrast of him trying to be kind of quirky and weird, but while also just genuinely being weird and quirky, and the way it's shot,
The show, it's on YouTube. The show Thriller is the same way. He introduces every show.
I have got to watch this.
Did
Thriller come after this?
No, I think it was before.
Oh, okay, all right. Because I was looking for more development of that character that he's trying to play in the anthology.
So
that's his.
And he's dressed to the nines, and he's just like, "Oh, you're going to love watching." And then he like introduces each character by name, actor's name.
I have to end this quickly because now I realize that he has been working on that character, and it only got as far as the Black Sabbath version.
Yes. Yeah, his best work was when he didn't talk as Frank.